Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my NHL 20 franchise mode here in the state of hockey. In the previous episode, we did a whole lot, and if you stuck around for that entire episode, you're an absolute G. Thank you for the support, guys. Maybe you split it into 2 episodes in your own mind, but at the beginning of the last episode, we went through the re-sign phase. Langweeder left the team via free agency. We could have gotten him back, but with the cap struggles we're about to go through, it only made sense for him to leave. I wish we could have gotten him back, but you look at the regular season, 64, 16-2, we had a damn good season. A lot of really good months. The majority of them were really damn good. 16 losses. It was a really good season. All in all, it was a bang-up season, just like Minnesota always does it. Now, I'm not sure if I'm gonna start doing that for every season, just cutting up every video into one season. Like, I'm gonna do the postseason like how I usually do it, like round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, if we get to that point. And then the off-season, maybe I'll do that in one video, and then the regular season in one video. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, but I'm glad you're here for the ride. It was a good season. But we're here for one award. We can win regular season trophies all we want. We usually do. It was a great season for almost everybody on this squad. But today, we are looking to start our quest for one trophy. Lord Stanley Cup. We are looking for redemption from last year. Last Stanley Cup Finals, if you don't recall, we got reverse swept by the Boston Bruins. I advise you go watch that episode. It was only like 2 videos ago, so I would advise going and watching that. If you want to know the regular season stats from all the boys in green, I suggest you watch the end of last video to see how the regular season stats went. But today we are facing the St. Louis Blues. 44, 31, and 7, 5, 4, and 1 in their last 10. Not the best end of the season. They're probably really good on paper. Most of the Western Conference teams are really good. But somebody's got to be the last wildcard spot. What does St. Louis look like? We've faced them in the past a few times, but I'm not sure what they look like this year. They have a few former Minnesota Wild on the squad. I love to see that. Let's start from the top. Casey Mittelstadt, 36 years of age, current Buffalo Sabres prospect. Kind of starting out his career really slow, but not everybody's Connor McDavid or Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes, right? Give them a break. He's young as hell. He's been pretty solid here on St. Louis. A few years ago, he had point-per-game seasons. Kind of dipped below that average, minus 22 this season. They definitely didn't have the best defensive season, but he's their first-line center. They have Pierre LaRoche, who is a subscriber-created player, 91 overall, 6'6". He's definitely a point-per-game guy. Has he ever scored less than 50? A few times. Had a few 30-goal seasons, but other than that, for the last bunch of seasons, he's had 50 goals every year. He's the man for the St. Louis Blues. If there's one guy I'm scared of on this team, it's him. Their right winger, Joakim Kamel, who I believe is an actual prospect for the 2022 NHL draft. 865 points in his career, under a point per game, but he's a solid player for St. Louis. That's a really good first line. Center depth is not the best, but if you have a really good 1-2 punch, you should be a-okay. They have Greg Schmaby, who was a former prospect of us. We never really gave him the chance in the NHL. He never really stuck. He had 2 seasons with us. No, that was Montreal. He never actually played for us. He had 1 season in Iowa, and then we traded him to Montreal. I guess so. He hasn't had a bad career. Then you have Alexander Kovanov, who is a former prospect of ours, obviously. Duh. Who wouldn't play? Like, every team we ever face has a former Minnesota Wild because we always draft the best. Now, just like Casey Mittelstadt, he's had a few point-per-game seasons in his career. kind of averaged out to a 60-point guy, but that's a really good second-line center. He's had a really good career since he left Minnesota. And their right winger, I know it says he's injured, but I'm sure he's fine for the postseason. Filip Zadina, 35 years of age. He's one of the older players on the squad. I know we discussed him last time we played him. He was with Detroit. That really kind of stunted his career, stunted his growth. He could have been a way better player if they had better management there in Detroit, but they didn't because it's Detroit. They didn't actually have Steezy Yzerman. And if you don't get that reference, you're too young. Just Google it. He's basically a 50-point player. He had a down year, though, so the top six has definitely struggled defensively over the last season. Third line, you have Cole Huckins. You have Vyacheslav Kravchenko. Then you have Ulf Josefsson. Third line, you have Anthony Chiarelli, Samuel Britt Cruz, and what the frig? Why is Alexei Slychuk on the fourth line? St. Louis, what are you doing? St. Louis. I know it says he had 65 points this season and almost a 40-goal year, but he is 100% capable of more than that. He has always been shunned in his career. You know that? He was with New Jersey for almost his entire career, heads over to St. Louis for 1 year, and they play him on the fourth line. God, I feel bad for him. We've had plenty of chances to pick him up, but there was never really a spot for him. Other than Pierre LaRoche, I am very scared of Alexei Slychuk. He's going to hurt this team. Look at his shooting category. Look at his offensive awareness. Look at his puck skills. If there's a player to be scared of, it's him. How about the defense? Yes. One of the best defensemen in the NHL today, Matteo Jogren. What a career he's had so far. 931 points. Not exactly a point-per-game player. He's almost has 300 goals as a defenseman. 100 points last year. No, did he win the Norris last year? He might have won the Norris last year. Or was it Cale Makar? I'm not too sure. I might have said something wrong in my last episode, but it doesn't matter. His defensive partner, the up-and-coming Tristan Sexton. Not even up-and-coming, but he's 23. He has arrived. 90 overall. They know how to draft. They did it right. That top pairing is great. Other than that, very similar, almost exactly the same as the last defensive core St. Louis put up against us. Not the best depth, but they definitely have some key players that can make them go far in this postseason. Their starting goaltender is Sergei Varlamov. We have faced him in the past. We know what he's all about. He can make stops, or he can be their biggest weakness. Any scratch players? They have Gosselin, Nicholas Castles, and Brandon Coe. It's not a bad squad. I get this team. I get why they made the playoffs. I also get why they might have struggled a little bit. But we're here for one reason and one reason alone. That is the Stanley Cup, episode 101. Let's see if we can start off the postseason right. First period, game number 1. 3-1, that is exactly how you started off. Pietrangelo, the free agent acquisition, and Connor McDavid on the power play coming up clutch. And our deadline acquisition in Nicolishin. Fourth line center, that is big. Joakim Kamel cuts the lead. In third? Wait, I don't know how to say that. There's a 2-goal lead heading into the second period. We're outshooting them by 5, 14-9. Second period. A big goal right there from Matthias Grossman. A breakout season for the young defenseman, former second overall pick. Big period for them. Big period for Minnesota there, leading by 3 goals. Make that 4 goals. Anthony Francis on the board. Harrison Hadar on the board. 5-goal lead, actually. Power play for St. Louis. 5-on-3 power play goes away. Power play for us. Nothing there, but a 6-1 lead should be enough to do it halfway through the third. Easy peasy, lemon for breezy. I don't want to jinx myself like I jinxed myself in the Stanley Cup Finals. Hudobin with the goal there. Everybody getting on the board. It is weird not seeing Kirill Kaprizov on the board anymore. He retired and went to the KHL. I miss him. First star, Anthony Francis. Big game from everybody there. A 7-1 victory on home ice. Let's see if we can keep that momentum going heading into game number 2. Let's see how it goes. Let's go, Minnesota. Let's start the series off right. First period. 1-0. Connor Bobilev. 10 shots to 7 in our favor. Second period. 2-1 St. Louis. Ulf Josephson and Jogren get on the board. They lead in shots now, 21-19. Let's see if we can tie this one up in the third period. Josephson with his second goal this evening. They will probably tie this series up. Power play can't capitalize. That is a big loss there for Minnesota. Can we get any action here in the third period? Anything, Minnesota? You're going to go down like this. Josephson completes the Hattie. Sexton gets on the board, and St. Louis whoops us in game number 2. Christian Pettersson, man, I don't know what it is. Has a phenomenal Stanley Cup Finals. And then the beginning of the last playoff, or the start of the playoffs last year, it was one great game, one bad game, one great game, one bad game. So maybe he'll have a good game here in St. Louis. It's all tied up heading to St. Louis, Missouri. Enterprise Center. First period underway. Let's see how it goes. Come on, Minnesota. 1-1. Pierre LaRoche gets on the board early. Or not relatively early. Cale Newman ties it up pretty late. 1:31 on the board. Shots are almost dead even. 1-1, second period. 3-1, big second period from Enland. The third pairing defenseman, probably the worst defenseman in our in our defensive core, but a phenomenal standout second period from him. 2 goals very, very late into the period. I will take that. They lead in shots, though, but we have the lead in goals. I will take that very much. Connor McDavid with his second in the postseason, coming up clutch, making the lead 3. Oh, my God. Anthony Francis making it a 4-goal lead just like that. A big period, big third period from our big guys coming up clutch here. Brutz Cruz with a late goal, but that should be enough for Minnesota to take a 2-1 series lead against the St. Louis Blues. Your first star, Connor McDavid with 4 points. That's exactly why we signed him. He might have not been the best defensively in the regular season. I understood that the entire year. I knew they weren't going to be the best cohesive unit, but I knew going into the postseason that they were going to be a decent tandem. Not a decent trio, but like they were going to be really good together. I felt like their offense was more important with the way they played defense. I need them to put up points each and every night. He leads the team. 2 points a game. Good for him. Game number 4. Here in St. Louis, can we sweep them on their home ice? First period. 0-0 through the first period. They lead us by 3 shots, 9-6. It's a whole new game. Second period. 2-goal period yet again. Kreider having not so good regular season. I've debated changing him into a two-way forward. Might do that somewhere during the postseason. Coming up with the first goal of the postseason for himself, and Anthony Francis tops up the lead by 2. Big period there. Heading into the third, we lead in shots and the goal category. Power play early. Can't capitalize there. 2-goal lead. That's a big lead in the playoffs, but you never know because St. Louis has some weapons. Halfway through the third, still 2-0 Minnesota. We can head back to the not the Enterprise Arena, the XL Energy Arena Center with a 3-1 lead and a chance to end this series. A shutout for Christian Pettersson. I will take that each and every day of the week. Big game there. Okay, Minnesota. You know what? Learn from your mistakes from last year. Blowing a 3-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup Finals, one of the biggest historical mess-ups in NHL history, even though you've done that before, where you've swept 2 teams in one Stanley Cup playoffs. You know how it feels both ways. Close this series out. Don't give them a shot. Game number 5, home ice. Let's send the fans home happy. First period. 2-2. We split the difference Joachim Kamel, Petrangelov ties it. Slychuk rears his ugly head on the power play, and Petrangelov with 2 goals in the first period. A big performance from him. Shots are dead even, 9-9. Second period. 2-2. Come on. Nope. There you go. Oh, what a second period right there. Kale Newman. They lead us, though. Kale Newman with a power play goal. Alexei Slychuk. Power play goal for him. Don't let them go on the power play. Come on, Minnesota. Chiarelli. Brant Clark and LaRoche takes the 1-goal lead. Christian Pettersson with the Minnesota Wild special, letting in a late period goal. Shots are really even. Goaltenders have been bad this game. Coming off of a shutout, Christian Pettersson, you need to step it up in this third period. The offense needs to help you out, though. Third period underway, a chance to end this series on home ice. Power play early. Come on, Minnesota. Don't let the offense dry up now. Sexton takes a 2-goal lead for the Blues, and this one is probably over. Yeah, there's enough time to make this a game, but Minnesota has not had a great third period comeback in a few games. So it looks like St. Louis will cut the series lead and force a game number 6. Why is it at 4 speed? I have no idea. And St. Louis will beat us in game number 5. And we will head back to St. Louis. Joachim Kamel stops us in game 5. Okay. So, Minnesota not learning from their former mistakes. Pettersson, man. 1 great game, 1 bad game, 1 great game, 1 bad game, 1 bad game. Then step it up. Pettersson, the offense. Step it the hell up, guys. Game 6. Here we go, Minnesota. First period. 3-1. That's how you do it, Minnesota. Kravchenko. Wow. If you don't know, I have a grade 4 reading level. Opens the scoring in game number 6. Harrison Hader with a big game-tying goal. Skewin takes a 2-1 lead. Kale Newman with a big goal right there. A phenomenal postseason last year from him. Starting to turn things up. Shots are dead even, 10 apiece. Second period. Oh, Pettersson! Please, man! Duchamplain makes it a game. Anthony Francis takes the lead back, and Sexton makes it a 1-goal game. Shots are pretty even. St. Louis hasn't cracked the 20-shot barrier mark, but we know it is a close game either which way. Third period. This is on 1 minute. For Pettersson, you were so important in the finals. You got injured. You left. We got reverse swept. Swept. I don't know English. Pettersson, step it up, man. Power play, Minnesota. Offense dries up in the third period. Thank you, Minnesota, so much. Power play for St. Louis. We kill it off. Are we Oh, for the love of God, Pettersson. Oh, we're blowing it again, Minnesota. Oh, don't do this. Oh, don't force my hand this offseason. Pettersson, man. Did I check the 3 stars? My English is terrible. I've been recording for so long today. Game 7, I guess. We don't learn from our mistakes. We signed Connor McDavid in the offseason. We make a bunch of moves. And we've learned absolutely nothing. We go that. You know what? Connor McDavid on the first line, Petrangelov on the second. Sure. Try something. Try something, Minnesota. The offense always dries up in the third period. Can we get a little help in Game 7? Come on, guys. First period. We're going to slow sim it, I guess. Are we going to get knocked out in round number 1? Or is it going to happen? I'm not sure. I'm here either way. Power play for St. Louis. We kill it off. Big penalty kill right there. Can we get a goal? Can we get a goal? Or are we going to pull the Minnesota Wild special? Are we? We didn't. We got out of a period without allowing a goal. Okay, where was the offense? It's like they can't click at the right time. These last few games, man, start picking it up, guys. You're going to force my hand this offseason, and I'm going to do something y'all will regret. Oh, that's a fact. We're gonna lose something very, very big this offseason without me. Okay, something is going to happen either which way. Just don't force my hand here, please. Second period. We get a goal, Minnesota? Anything, Minnesota. Chiarelli opens the scoring for St. Louis. Pettersson, thank you so much. I mean, it is 1-0. The offense isn't really helping you out. Oh, LaRoche! Pietrangelo cuts the lead in half on the power play. 2-1, St. Louis. 2-1, St. Louis. Come on, Minnesota. The hell? Where the hell is the offense? I don't know what I'm gonna do if we're gonna lose this game. We just blew a 3-1 series lead. What am I gonna do with myself? What am I supposed to do? We have so many contracts coming off the books. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what to do with this team. It'd be easier if we won. But now I'm gonna make a move without knowing the capabilities of this squad as it is right now. Third period. I guess that's a pep talk. I don't know, Minnesota. Power play early. We make it a game. Power play goes away. St. Louis is 100% going to win this game. Brandt Clarke cuts the lead in half. But here comes Pettersson with the... Come on, Pettersson. Let in the... Here he goes. Pettersson lets in a goal. We knew it was coming. I'm walking away now. It's not even worth it. It's not worth it. Pietrangelo late. Screw the 3 stars. Screw it. That whole season wasted in round number 1. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Minnesota? Tell me.